Even though I have many friends, I've always felt alone. Sometimes, standing near my room window, I'd just stare outside, wondering what was missing inside me. That afternoon, as the sunlight touched my face, Anne came in quietly. She said, "The matron wanted to see me." I didn't know why, but something about her tone made my heart tremble. The matron looked at me with eyes full of pain. I understood. Something was heavy in her heart. Then she said, "My mother left a wish. After I turned 20, our old home would be mine." Again she said,
"It's a mansion, but I didn't tell you before because I was afraid you couldn't live there alone."
Then she said, "My time here is over. I have to go home next week." My heart began to shake. I felt lost, scared, and empty. That mansion, it's not a place of love for me. It's where my memories still hurt. I came to my room and sat on the bed. My mind was spinning. I kept thinking, what am I doing now? But I knew, somehow, I have to face this. When I was about to sleep, Anne came to my room. She looked worried and asked,
"What happened?"
I told her everything the matron said. Anne listened silently, her face filled with sadness and confusion. She asked,
"How will you live alone?"
I couldn't answer her. I just said softly, "Next week, I have to go." Anne looked at me, her eyes heavy with tears she didn't want to show. That night, neither of us spoke again. The silence between us said everything. That day finally came. I went to the matron's room. Her face looked so sad. She told me to always be careful and said I could call her any time I needed. I tried to smile, but my heart felt heavy. I thanked her and said goodbye. Then I carried my luggage to the taxi waiting outside. Anne came running to me. She hugged me tightly, her eyes filled with worry. I didn't know what to say. I just smiled and whispered, "Take care." Then I sat inside the taxi, watching the orphanage fade behind me. I was going home, but somehow it didn't feel like home at all. After 2 hours, I finally reached the mansion. I got out of the taxi and looked around. It was huge, surrounded by tall, dark trees. A large garden stretched in front of it, and the garden was enclosed by walls made of black stone. At first glance, it looked terrifying. The place felt empty, lifeless. I slowly walked toward the mansion with my luggage. When I pressed the old doorbell, a strange chill ran through me. After a few moments, the door creaked open. An old lady stood there. Her hair was messy, her clothes dirty, and her long nails looked frightening. My heart froze. She stared at me angrily, and I couldn't move. I handed her the letter that the matron gave me. She looked at it, then slowly lifted her eyes to mine. Her expression changed. Her eyes grew wide, and tears began to fall. I stepped inside the mansion, slowly looking around. The air felt heavy, filled with the scent of dust and old wood. The floor creaked beneath my shoes, and a chill ran through my body. The living room was dim, lit only by a few rays of sunlight slipping through curtains. A wooden staircase stood in front of me, leading to the upper floor like a path into the unknown. Every corner was filled with antique furniture, beautiful once, but now cracked, faded, and covered with cobwebs. It felt like time itself had stopped here. As I was lost in those thoughts, the old lady came back holding a glass of water. Her steps were slow, her eyes calm yet heavy with something unspoken. She smiled gently and said,
"I'm Martha. I've been taking care of this house for many years."
Her voice was soft, almost like she was afraid to be heard by the walls. I tried to remember her, but I couldn't. Her face didn't spark any memory. She looked at me closely and said,
"You know, this is the first time someone from outside has come here in many years."
Her words stayed in my heart like an echo. For a moment, the house felt even quieter, like it was listening too. I walked upstairs, just as Martha told me, but something inside me felt uneasy, a strange fear I couldn't explain. Still, I hid my feelings and kept walking. There were 4 rooms on the upper floor. I stood there for a moment, unsure which one was mine. I called out for Martha from the stairs, but she didn't answer. The silence made the whole mansion feel heavier. I checked the rooms one by one. 3 of them were open, empty, filled with dust and silence. The 4th door was locked. Something about it made my heart beat faster. Finally, I walked into the largest room. It was old and covered in dust. There was a huge antique bed, a faded sofa, and a tall wooden wardrobe, all covered in cobwebs. It looked like no one had lived there for years. I stepped onto the balcony. From there, I could see the garden. Wide, quiet, surrounded by black stone walls. The trees stood still, like they were watching me. And for a moment, I wondered if this house was truly ready to welcome me, or if it had just been waiting. That night, Martha and I sat together at the dining table for dinner. The room was dim, lit only by a small candle in the center. The air felt heavy, quiet, like even the walls were listening. As we ate, Martha suddenly looked at me. Her voice was low, almost whispering. She said,
"No matter what happens, don't leave your room after midnight."
Her words froze me for a moment. I looked at her, confused, and asked softly, "Why did you say that?" But she didn't answer. She just kept her eyes on the plate, her hands trembling slightly. The silence that followed felt strange. Something in her eyes told me there was more to this house than I was ready to know. I tried to sleep that night, but I couldn't. The room felt cold and empty, too quiet to be peaceful. The wind slipped through the windows, whispering softly against the curtains. I felt alone, completely alone. I thought about my parents. My mom, Sophia. She was so beautiful, so gentle. And my dad, Arthur. He loved me more than anything. I kept wondering, why was I the only one who survived that accident? If they were somewhere watching me, I hoped they could see how lost I felt. Then, suddenly, I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, right outside my door. I thought maybe it was Martha. I stood up, ready to open the door. But then I remembered what she said.
No matter what happens, don't leave your room after midnight.
So I stopped. The sound came again, closer this time. My heart started pounding. I whispered, "Martha, is that you?" But no answer, only a strange whisper, like someone was speaking softly through the wall. My body froze. I felt cold sweat run down my neck. I wanted to scream, but no voice came out. It was like fear had turned me to stone. That night, I realized the mansion was not sleeping. Something else was awake. The next morning, I decided to explore the mansion. Every corner felt heavy, as if time itself had stopped there. The air was cold, and the silence followed me everywhere I went. Old portraits hung on the walls, their eyes almost watching me as I passed. The floor creaked under my feet, and dust floated in the light that slipped through broken windows. Every step I took made me feel like I was walking deeper into a forgotten story. Martha was nowhere to be seen. I called her name a few times, but there was no reply. It was strange. She would disappear for hours, and I could never tell where she went. Sometimes, it felt like she wasn't even real, just a shadow that moved through this house. Then suddenly, she appeared behind me. No sound, no footsteps. She was just there. Her face was calm, but her eyes, they carried something I couldn't understand. I smiled weakly and asked where she had been. She just looked at me and said,
I was around, dear.
Then she walked away, slowly, like nothing had happened. But something inside me whispered, there's more to Martha than what she shows. And this house, it hides more secrets than I can imagine. I sat at the dinner table, waiting for Martha. The food was ready, but she wasn't there. Minutes turned into hours, and still, the chair beside me stayed empty. I searched every corner of the mansion. The kitchen, the hallway, even her room. But Martha was nowhere to be found. When night fell, I returned to my room, feeling uneasy. I kept thinking about her. Who was she really? And where did she go, without a word? My thoughts slowly faded as sleep pulled me in. But then, a sudden knock broke the silence. I woke up, startled. The sound came from the door. I thought Martha had returned. I opened it slowly, but no one was there. The hallway was empty and cold. "Martha?" I called softly. My voice echoed, but there was no answer. Then, faint footsteps came from downstairs. I followed them, thinking it was her. But when I reached the bottom, the room was empty. Only shadows remained. The air felt heavy. The old furniture looked alive in the dark, their shapes turning into ghosts under the dying candlelight. My heart raced. I stood there, surrounded by silence and fear, realizing something in this mansion wasn't right. I stood frozen. The air around me felt heavy. Then, I heard it. A soft whisper coming from the other room. I called out, "Martha!" But the moment her name left my lips, the whispering stopped and turned into terrible, echoing laughter. My whole body went cold. I knew something was going to happen. My hands started shaking as I whispered a prayer, asking God to keep me safe. Slowly, I walked towards the sound. The door was half open, and from inside, thick fog drifted out, curling around my feet like something alive. My breath trembled. I pushed the door slightly and peered inside. What I saw made my heart stop. In the middle of that fog stood a woman, an old woman, with wrinkled skin and lifeless, white eyes. Her hair was grey and tangled, her dress torn and dirty, her long yellow nails twisted. The dim light from the candle revealed her ghostly face, pale, angry. I tried to scream, but no voice came out. My body froze. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It felt like time had stopped, and only fear was alive inside that room. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying on the cold floor. The candle had fallen beside me, its flame barely alive. For a moment, I couldn't understand what had happened. My head was spinning. I stood up quickly, my hands trembling, and ran into my room. I started packing my things. I just wanted to leave this place. But then, Something felt wrong. I looked out of the window. Oh my God! It was still night. The sky was dark, the same as before. I had been lying there for hours. It should have been morning. But time hadn't moved. Everything outside was frozen in darkness. I felt my heart break. I fell to the floor and screamed. Oh my God, what's happening to me? Tears rolled down my face. I called out, "Martha!" But no one answered. Only silence, deep and empty. That's when I realized Martha wasn't real. She was never here. My voice shook as I whispered, "Anne, Matron," but even their names disappeared into the air. Finally, I cried out to God, begging Him to help me, to save me from this nightmare. The only sound that answered me was the candle flame flickering in the endless dark. I stood up again and ran to the main door. My hands shook as I pulled the handle, but it wouldn't open. I tried again and again, but the door was locked tight. Panic filled my chest. I ran to another door. It was the same. Every door, every window, locked. My heart started pounding. I felt trapped, like the house itself wanted to keep me in. I cried out in fear, but my voice just echoed back at me. Then I heard it again, that terrible laugh. It came from nowhere and everywhere. I ran back to my room and shut the door, pressing my back against it, trying to stop shaking. I had never been so afraid in my life. My breath was heavy, my eyes full of tears. I grabbed a chair and hit the window, again and again, but it didn't even crack. Then, suddenly, I heard whispering right next to me. My blood turned cold. I turned slowly toward the door, and there she was, the ghostly old woman, her wrinkled face, her pale white eyes, her torn black dress, and those long yellow nails. I wanted to scream, but my voice wouldn't come out. She moved closer. Her cold breath touched my face. And then she whispered,
"This is the last day."
Her laugh echoed through the room, and she disappeared into the dark. I cried until I had no more strength. There was no way out of that mansion. Every door, every window, locked. Then, something caught my eye. A small silver cross had fallen on the wooden floor. I didn't know where it came from. I picked it up with shaking hands and held it close to my chest. I prayed over and over, begging for light in that endless dark. Suddenly, a strong wind burst through the room. The curtains flew wildly, and the candles went out. The air turned icy cold. My heart raced. I thought, this is the last minute of my life. I closed my eyes and whispered, "God, please save me." And then I heard a voice. A gentle, familiar voice. My mum's voice. I opened my eyes, and I couldn't believe it. My mom and dad stood before me, their faces soft, glowing with peace. My mom smiled and said,
"We are always with you, my child."
My dad nodded gently. Their light wrapped around me, safe and full of love. The world began to spin. Everything turned blurry and dark. When I woke up, I was lying on the ground, outside the mansion. My hands were dirty, my heart still racing. I looked around, and beside me, there was an old, torn diary. The sky above was dark and full of thunder. The wind howled through the trees. Fear rushed back into me. I grabbed the diary and ran as fast as I could toward the gate, away from that haunted mansion. I felt like I had just woken up from a horrible nightmare. I was in my orphanage bed, safe. Anne was sitting beside me, her eyes full of worry and care. On my lap, there was the old diary I found near the mansion. I opened it, and the truth came out like a storm. My grandmother. She was the one who never accepted me. She didn't want my parents to adopt me. She wanted only their own blood, not me. She hated the thought that one day their love and their property would belong to me. That hate had lived on, even after her death. Anne looked at me with sadness. She didn't have to say anything. Her eyes said it all. Later, when I went to the matron's office, she smiled softly and said,
"Emma, you can start again. You can stay here as long as you want."
Her words felt like light breaking through darkness. For the first time in a long time, I felt safe. That night, I stood near my window. The moon shone behind dark clouds, and stars twinkled quietly in the sky. I whispered, "Thank you, Mom, Dad. I know, both of you, always with me." The night was still dark, but in my heart, there was peace.